Tell me what the hell are you scared of when in the end the only thing
Where's
that's
the
up
love? Right here on
love's
this
the only
podcast.
thing.
Welcome to
To
Love
love
Drops,
drops,
where your
never
hosts
things
and
as
One Love
good
ambassadors,
never
Charles
mistaken
and
when I
Diane,
was
will
together
share
long
love,
to an empty
hope,
world
and
that tastes the
inspirational
sweetest of
topics
life.
taken from
All of
their
these
journey and world
all of
events.
the
We
challenges
will
that
also
I
include on location recordings and special pop up guests from cool places all around the world. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
whether big or small, love never fails. Oh, love it conquers all. Love never fails.
This special edition of Love Drop Podcast is a spotlight on the book Aftercare. We thought it would be pretty cool to invite three of the phenomenal nurses assigned to our case while Charles was hospitalized. You get to hear excerpts from the book read by myself and Charles, as well as shared experiences from three of our family now. They were assigned to us as nurses, they were our earth angels, and now they're our family, Sam, Shauntay, and Latoyia. We hope you enjoy this episode. Spread the word about the book and just know that there is peace beyond trauma. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the show. Dear caregivers, give yourself more grace. Let this moment be a reminder. What you are doing is not just a duty, it is an act of love, a sacred service. You show up day after day, and in doing so, you embody compassion in motion. Allow yourself to feel, truly feel every emotion that arises. Your feelings are not weakness to be hidden, but signals guiding you through the storm and reminding you that you, too, are beautifully human. Please hear this with the weight and warmth it carries. Self care is not optional, it's essential. You matter. Your health, your spirit, your rest, all of it matters. According to agingcare.com, nearly 30% of caregivers pass away before those they care for. This is not said to instill fear, but to spark awareness and action. We simply cannot continue to pour endlessly from an empty vessel. So I lovingly urge you, lean on your village, whether that be family, friends, trusted facilities, or community resources. Give yourself permission to take a reset moment, even just a few breaths of stillness. That moment of pause could be the very thing that sustains you. Contrary to what many of us may believe, your role as a caregiver is not fixing everything. You are here to walk alongside, to lift, to advocate, and to love. You are a light in someone else's darkness, not because you have all the answers, but because you continue to show up with heart. I see you. I feel you. I am you. And I gently remind you, you cannot pour from an empty cup. Prioritize your own well being. Nourish your soul. Rest when you need to. Cry when you must. Laugh when it comes. This journey is filled with both heartache and joy. There will be moments that steal your breath, But in those moments, remember this: breathe again. Let me leave you with a golden practice from Charles's book, Tai Chi Secrets. Take a deep breath in through your nose and think the word re. Now exhale slowly through your nose, thinking the word lax. Breathe, relax. And as you do, remember, this too shall pass. One love, Diane.
Without further ado, I turn the mic over to Sam Ogumbade.
Thank you so much, Charles. Thank you so much, Diane. I appreciate this opportunity. I'll say I have a lot of things to say, but I'll just try to summarize them because I see you more as my family, not as my patient, because we are just one. I remember that night, yeah, it was one unique night to me, and I believe it's unique night for the units as well and unique night for you as well. So thinking back, I would say it was a pretty special night. But before I say that, let me give you a little introduction about myself and for the audience to know who is talking. My name is Samuel Ogumbode, as Charles has rightly said, and I am a registered nurse, and I've been doing this for over 15 years now. And by His grace, I've tried a little bit to get to the peak of the profession. I'm on the last ladder doing my DMP program through the help of God and help of great people like Diane and Charles with their words of encouragement and their very great role model. And I'm very appreciative for all their contributions as well. Thank you, Charles, and thank you, Diane. Okay, rolling back to that night, that special night. Yeah, that was a very, very special night for me. And it all happened so quickly because it's one thing for you to get to work, and it's another thing for you to get the kind of patient you want to work with. But trust me, I see every night, every assignment as new opportunity to reach out to people, to make them feel better, to make them feel good about where they are, and to see that point, not their final destination. And this was the same thing that played out that night when I came to that unit. And I met with Charles and Diane. I saw that worry on her face because she was greatly overwhelmed. But she kept on. She tried every bit of that moment to be with her partner. She doesn't want to leave, but we could see that she needs to take a rest. She needs that break. And that was when we came in with the other nurse and we talked to Diane to calm down, just to make sure that she's not losing it all because it was boldly written that this lady needs to rest. Yeah, from that encounter that night, I learned a lot of lessons. How to show love to your partner. Diane taught me some few things about that, and I held on to that since that time. So then we said, Diane, you need to go home. You need to take some rest. You need this break. When you come in the morning, you'll be refreshed and mind, new body, new spirit. Come in, you will see Charles. We promise you this and we reassured her with everything at her disposal. She was trying so hard because she told me about a plan that she was actually planning to look for someone who will be available that night to stay with Charles because of that trust, because of his wellness, because a lot of things was actually going on with Charles. Charles didn't even know where he was. He was somehow confused, not knowing who was standing where and where to go, where the bathroom is, when to get off the bed. So for safety reasons, Diane was so concerned. And that was what I saw and we discussed with Diane that she shouldn't worry about it. We got everything covered. Charles will be safe. Do not worry about it. We have everything to put in place to make sure he's safe. And we've been doing this. Worry not, Diane. Please go home. And overall, we were able to convince her, and she later accepted that offer. And I was so happy for that opportunity that she gave to us to look after her husband. So Diane agreed to go home and get some rest. She spent a little more time with Charles right there in the unit, and then she left eventually. But before she left, we agreed that, okay, we're going to give you reports about him, about the progress when you get home. And trust me, when you wake up in the morning, is it that you call me first or I call you before leaving the unit after my shift? And she agreed to that. Then she left. So the night went great. We had a good time with Charles, and we were able to deal with all of his anxiety overnight and made him comfortable. So from that moment, from that night, every interaction we had with Diane, and from little things we were able to get from Charles that night, yes, that was the moment everything changed. That we knew that, yes, this is another family. We're meeting here, not just a patient, but another family connected by something stronger even than blood.
Yes. I thank you, Sam. And as you were speaking, I went back to that night, and you are so very right. As a retired critical care nurse and professor, I have had that conversation with so many families. That was my first time being on the receiving side of the suggestion to go home. Let us take care of your family. We got you. And I'll tell you something, in that situation, it has to hit right. You have to feel comfortable. You have to feel like, I believe that this person has me, and you did. And not only did you have me on that night, you had me on every night that you worked until we got out of there. You were the strongest advocate for night. You were divinely placed there because that was not even your unit, and you were assigned there for that night for such a time as that. You came not alone because God knew that Charles was really confused that night. He was so confused, so unsafe. Like, my fear was he was going to fall out the bed, and God knew that. So he not only sent you, but he sent you with a helper so that both of you could just watch over him. And through that, there was a trust. And through that, every time I could request you, I did. And from that night, even when you were not working on that unit, you would go and you would check on Charles. Even when you were not working on that unit, you would call me. And we did become family. I felt like you were our family and you were taking care of us. You took care of Charles as if he was your father, your uncle, your brother. And from that bloomed a beautiful relationship. We have been able to watch you elevate in life from that moment. We've watched you achieve educational successes, your bachelor's, your master's, and now you're working on your PhD. We've watched you welcome your third child into the world. We were able to celebrate birthdays with you for your children. We were able to stay at your home as part of the family, receiving so much love, not only from you, but from everyone. Talking to your mom and dad, back in Nigeria, your family know us because we are now a part of that family, 4 years and counting. And from that trauma, from that night, a beautiful relationship came into play, a beautiful human reaction, connection happened. And it has us here in London and you in South Carolina together right now. And that is what the message in the book Aftercare is about. It's about the resilience. Yeah, we had hard moments, but in those hard moments, God sent us light workers. He sent us earth angels. I now understand what my patients meant when they say you are an angel, you are a beacon of light. I didn't take it lightly, but I was very humble with it. But meeting you that night showed me exactly what that meant. And for that, I will always love you and I will always appreciate you. And I will always thank you for allowing yourself to be used that night and forward.
Yeah, this has just been fantastic and still going on today. What was established back then was phenomenal. We had no idea. But Sam, you were with us all the way through the trauma and still here today because of the love that you have for your profession and how you advocate for others as well. Very professional. And we're so gratified to have you as a family member for us as well.
We love you.
We love you, Sam.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you and I love you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that is our very first beacon in the storm. So I will end with this. Just as Maya Angelou said, you will forget what people said. You will forget what people have done, but you will never forget how people made you feel. And Sam, you made us feel seen. You made us feel dignified. You made us feel peace in our storm. And we thank you. We
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
One love.
One love.
So, in continuation of shining the light on the earth angels that were sent into our journey to walk through the storm with Charles and I have a very special young lady here that I want to just speak into the first time she met Charles and I. And she was actually with Sam Ogumbude, who we just spoke with. So she was the other nurse. Again, I was at my wit's end. I was considering getting somebody there, just hiring in a caregiver to come and sit with Charles because I was just really concerned about his safety. He was very, very confused. They had him in a restraint. I don't think they had like a restraint to the bed. They had him on some type of restraint and he was not having it. I mean, just I can say when you restrain a patient that's combative, all that is just making them more combative and it just makes them more agitated. So I was deeply concerned. And in my concern and in my heart call, two earth angels came in, and this young lady was one of them. And so, without further ado, I'm going to bring Latoyia to the mic and let her introduce herself and just speak from her perspective about the storm that Charles and I was in and, how she came in and how she was such a help to us. So, Latoyia, you got the mic.
Hello, my name's Latoyia, one of the nurses that took care of Mr. Charles. I just recall I was on orientation and with Sam, and as coming into Mr. Charles's room, you were at the bedside, and he was in the bed, very confused. Still had a trach, and he was also in restraints. I know at one point he had wrist restraints on, and also like a little vest restraint. They were alternating that stuff because he was trying to get out of the bed and like knowing that stuff, like trying to bite on stuff. And let me just say, God is good. He's been through a lot and he was very like confused and stuff and really didn't know where he was sometimes. And he didn't know who we were. But even though he was confused, he was still pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
And he was able to like, talk about his martial arts and, stuff like that. But that was later on. But just initially, he was like very, very confused. So that's why he had restraints and stuff on.
Mm-hmm. And, it was just like having you and Sam there just gave me so much peace. You guys were like, you can go home, Miss Diane, we got him. We got him. You need to rest. Go home. We got him. The thing I'll say again is that wasn't even your unit. Like you guys were assigned to a different unit, but assigned to float over to where Mr. Charles was that night at such a time as that very night when we most needed assistance, help, right? And you and Sam together. You both were his nurse for several times. You guys kept getting assigned over there and you guys, kept taking care of him. And so I think one of the things is you saw him go from confused to oriented. And I mean, how did that hit you? Because I mean, when he was confused, he was confused. And then when he reoriented, it's just like he was Charles. So how did that hit you? Just seeing that transformation.
All I can say, Miss Diane, is God is good. When I first initially saw him and how confused he was, like I always take heed and precaution to my patients to make sure like that they are taken care of. I treat them like as if they are my family.
Yes, you
Because
do.
at the end of the day, they are somebody's family. So I tried to make sure that I would do them like I would treat my own family. So that's how I look at my patients. So and I pray for them and all. And you were by that bedside praying, and I was like, okay, okay. So once I saw that, I was like, well, I'm gonna just be praying too. And I know you needed to get rest, but for me to actually see him come back oriented and like know where he was and know who we were, because in the beginning he didn't know who we were. He was just nice to us, but he still didn't know who we were. He knew we worked there, but then
Mhm.
him he actually remembering, like on a daily basis, when we went to take care of him, I was like, man, God is awesome. God is amazing
Mhm.
because he went from having a trait to being able to tell us his name, his date of birth, where he was, where he lived, and he couldn't do any of that stuff in the beginning.
Mhm. And you were also there because you saw a lot of the transformations. So you saw a lot of the internal battles. We're beyond just him being sick, and just in that health crisis. You saw the politics that I was faced with, there at that facility, as far as getting him off of the pain medications. And that's a big thing because that was a big part of his confusion. It wasn't taking him off out of pain, but it was making him more confused. So you were there when I was battling to get him off of the narcotics, and how, I was being called insensitive and I was mean. How could I do that? Like I didn't know my husband.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were one of the nurses that I said, don't give him, fentanyl. Don't give him, just certain medications. So you saw the whole transformation in that. Like you saw us getting him on a more comfortable bed. You were there when we got the narcotics discontinued and you saw that he responded. That's when he came back.
Yes, ma'am.
So you were there and supportive. You were there and supportive. It's unfortunate during that time, during his hospitalization, there were so many nurses that were just depleted out of empathy, compassion. Some maybe never had it. I don't know. But just
Wow.
you and Sam and a couple of other nurses, Shauntay, were just all lighthouses, were all angels just sent in to help us out of that place. Like you were sent in to be a support, to be there to watch over him and to
Yes,
support
ma'am.
in the midst of that. How did watching us experience what we experienced, how did that resonate to and for you as a nurse, just moving forward?
Okay, first off, I'm going to say I love Black love, and a praying wife by your side or a praying husband, you cannot beat that.
Yes.
So I'm grateful just to see that experience from you all because I see, y'all love each other. and how you took care of him. I commend you
Mm,
because you are amazing.
thank you.
He's amazing, but you are amazing as well. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
So that just showed me that doctors don't know everything. And I tell my patients this all the time. Doctors don't know everything. They will say, okay, well, this person right here has this going on and they have that going on, but God has the last say. So my faith just became stronger because I was like, wow, like he fully recovered. There ain't nobody but God.
Yeah.
We were like there to assist, but that was all of God's plan. That's what that was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting chills right now saying that.
Yeah. I'm laughing because that when I was there at the bedside, you said I love Black love. Oh my God, I just want you to know. And it was tickling to me then and still now. And it's just such an amazing thing. And I think if anything, just our story being told, just how we're telling our story to the world, we can't tell our story without shining a light on the earth angels that God sent into that storm. Because, yeah, you can say, well, they did this at the hospital and they did that. And a lot of times I hear people talking about their experiences and, the medical bullying, how the doctors are trying to force things and, just all of those things. But I feel like it is so important to be able to tell but God and but the people that were sent in to assist us, to advocate with us, and to help us to get out that door, to
Yes,
help us
ma'am.
get out that door. I was one of those people. I've been it for so many people over my nursing career just to help them get out that door, to get home, take your loved one home, help that wife or husband to go get rest. Like, I got you. And so in this situation, there were moments where I felt like I had earth angels that had me, and it made me again better understand how when patients say you're an angel, and a lot of times you're like, well, hold on, I'm just a human or whatever, but I understand that now because Sam, because Shauntay, because Nicole that was at the previous hospital, and Cheryl, like those are 5 people that when I think about it, that were our earth angels. And they brought light in that dark time for me. They held light, and you were one of them. And I thank you for that. I appreciate you so much. And like I said to Sam, it's like out of that trauma, a human connection was forged. And 4 years later, we're still talking, still relationships, still checking in. We've been in South Carolina a couple of times and haven't seen you because you still be working. And so, no, no, no. In time, it will happen. But it's just like life is life. And so,
Yes, ma'am.
you are out there working and being a lighthouse for other patients. And that's all good. I do want to mention this part, and that is when I stop and reflect on all the names I just said, yours, Sam, Shauntay, Nicole, Cheryl, all the people that were put in place to hold the light for us are no longer on that post where we were. You have all moved on.
Yes,
And that
ma'am.
reconfirms that when you just go with the flow, divine will take care of you. God got your back.
Ooh,
God will put the
amen.
people in the places to hold the space and hold the light. But then when that storm is over, elevation comes for all. So not only were we elevated, you guys have all been elevated. You're all in different places, holding different spaces. So it's not by coincidence that that is what it is.
I
So
don't believe in coincidence.
me either. Me either. And it wasn't a coincidence that on that day that it was all unraveling for me. God sent you and Sam into that room to have me. And not only from that day, but from that day forward, because you guys took very good care of Charles and you guys allowed me to sleep in peace. When I knew that you were there with him, I rested. I know that God is with him at all times, and I know that his angels are there. But again, not everybody has the empathy and compassion, the love and the care, and see their patients as family. So just having you guys there in those moments made all the difference. And I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all. Even after, y'all left the hospital and, he got better and stuff, the communication now, like you said, we still communicate. You still check on me. And I appreciate that. Like your words are very encouraging. And I know that it's divine timing because it's always on time.
Absolutely.
Always.
Absolutely. And it just goes again to show that God's blessings go both ways. So even when you're coming in to carry the light, right?
Yes,
Because
ma'am.
my light may be just strained, but please believe it's coming back. And when it comes back, it's going to bring light to you too, because light goes both ways. It's not just
Yes,
one
ma'am.
way. It's not just one way. It's gonna flip. So in that time, I was encouraged. And as we got stronger and moved on, then we were able to encourage you. And it just goes back and forth. From that trauma, something beautiful came. We got to have you in our life, and we get to continue to have you in our life 4 years later. And we appreciate that for sure.
Amen and amen and amen.
Yes. And so with that, I'm gonna close it out, but not without again quoting Maya Angelou. I did it with Sam, I'm gonna do it with you. And basically the quote is this: people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And I will never forget how you made me feel on that night, supported, in peace, and knowing that you had my back. And I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I met Miss Diane in 2021. I can't remember exactly what month it was. It was like the middle end of 2021. We met. I was working in a local hospital where her husband, Mr. Charles, was a patient there in our ICU. Which is interesting enough. I was not an ICU nurse. I typically did not work in the ICU, but somehow I ended up there, and at the time I did not know why. I couldn't understand it, but it makes sense now that I think about it. I was predestined to be there for us to meet, so it makes sense now why I was there. But yes, I was a day nurse. I worked during the day, and most days when I worked in the ICU, Mr. Charles was one of my patients. And even on the days that he wasn't, I ended up in there. Diane would see me and say, "Hey, come here." So I would go in and talk and help with whatever I could, which was absolutely fine. But fast forward, Mr. Charles is miraculously healed and doing so much better. It was such a blessing that he is still here. He is definitely a walking miracle. And that is how our relationship started. I believe he was discharged. I can't remember how long he was in there, but when they were discharged, I was still working there. And it's just amazing to me how Miss Diane was going through that with her husband and advocating for him and going through all the emotions of having a spouse that's severely ill and did not know what was going to happen. And she still took the time to see me and pour into me and encourage me. She saw me and she was able to see, things that were happening at that workplace. She helped me to realize that my season at that particular workplace was coming to an end, and gave me the courage to take that leap of faith and move. And I'm so glad that I did, because that season was definitely had come to an end. So again, we've been through together a new job that I thought was it and wasn't, to being jobless. That was supposed to be 3 months. 3 months turned into 6 months. 6 months turned into 8 months, into a year. And that came to be because I guess our conversations about, what I really wanted and what I desired that I could have and that I shouldn't settle. And I knew what I didn't want. And so that time frame was a time where I grew. There was some hard pains in there, but I definitely grew, I definitely learned, and I definitely found myself. And ultimately, I think the greatest thing that came out of that is building a true relationship with God. I did not have that before, so definitely was a time and space where her friendship and her prayers and encouragement, sometimes uncomfortableness with the things that she challenged me with, but it made me stronger, it made me wiser, it gave me more courage. And I'm still not where I should be, but definitely have grown since that point. We've traveled out of town. We've had many outings. We've been to the beach multiple times. My husband and I spent the weekend in Augusta where they were staying, and we visited the museum there. We went to the movies. We went to their place at that time where we just fellowship with them. And that's another thing. So many relationships has bloomed or been initiated just from ours. We have a sister circle that we and other ladies meet by Zoom every month. So I've got to see Miss Diane write books, see their podcast grow, and now they're living their dream. They're in the UK, Paris, Ireland. So her life living has definitely shown me that dreams are possible. That if you want something, just go for it. Just take the leap, even if it's scary. Still do it. Do it afraid. So I'm blessed to have her in my life. And you know how you have that one friend who you can just you look at each other and you know exactly what the other is thinking. Yeah, that's us. So she gets me pretty much. So just very blessed to have her in my life, and so excited to see what God has in store for her and their future, her and Mr. Charles, and just look forward to what our friendship will continue to do in and for this world.
We're so grateful for Sam, Latoya, and Shauntay sharing their experience of supporting and being the light and earth angels during our storm. Aftercare is our gift to the world. It's our gift of love. We know that the message, the love, the peace will land and resonate exactly where it needs to. So if this resonates for you, or you know someone who could benefit, please spread the word and share. With that, I will leave you with the words of Charles. Thank you for listening, and one love.
Dear reader, I never saw it coming. Not the life support, not the trach, not the hospitalization, not being counted out by doctors and nurses. The storm that came for my life hit hard, fast, unexpected, and devastating. I'd heard stories like this before. Never thought I'd live one, but God. As Diane so honestly shares in this book, we were living through our own Job-like season, one where everything we knew was tested. Yet in the middle of the chaos, missteps in care, and the relentless pain, one truth never changed. God never left us. Even when things looked irreversible, he was orchestrating a plan. Doctors said I'd be on supplemental oxygen for life. But on day 80, yes, 80 days after being admitted to the ICU, I walked out of that hospital breathing on my own. No tubes, no tanks, just breath. The same breath they said I might not ever take again without help. By then, staff were stopping by my room just to take a glimpse at what they were now calling the Miracle Man. But I knew it wasn't about me. It was about the glory of God showing up in a hospital room and rewriting a narrative the world had already closed the book on. Coming home wasn't the end. It was the beginning of recovery. I still had serious hospital-acquired wounds. They said I'd be hooked up to a wound vac for at least 3 months. But 3 weeks later, it was gone, healed once again, but God. Let's be real. Recovery wasn't all celebration. It was tough. There were tears, frustrations, anger, and yes, moments when I wasn't easy to be around. But Diane and I held tight to our faith and each other. We didn't survive the storm just to fall apart in the calm. We learned that love, honesty, and divine grace could rebuild even what trauma tried to tear down. Together with God, we found our way back, not just to each other, but to peace. Here's what I know now, without a doubt. God didn't bring us through this to stay silent. We're here to speak boldly, love deeply, and walk proudly as living proof that miracles still happen. In a world shaken by sickness and uncertainty, I stand as living proof that the great physician still heals. My scars tell a story, not of defeat, but of divine intervention. Through the fire, my faith has been forged stronger. My purpose now burns with even more clarity. Together, Diane and I walk forward, not just as survivors, but servants ready to go wherever love calls. We are living the unshakable promise of Jeremiah 30:17. But I will restore you to health and heal your wounds, declares the Lord. This is more than recovery. This is resurrection. This is calling. This is love in motion. Won't he do it? One love, Charles.
Never a second will I waste, never an opportunity to taste the sweetness of this life.
Thank you for tuning in to the Love Drops podcast. Be sure to follow this podcast and share the love with everyone you know. Until next time, this is Charles and Diane signing off. One love. One love.
Love it conquers all. Love never